Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Saint Luminus. Thank you for joining me today. What I wanted to do today is something a little bit different and play my Mesa Boogie Mark V 25. Some of you might know it as the Mini Mark V. I wanted to go through and play every factory sample settings. Now, I know what some of you are going to say. It's like, oh, I never play the factory settings because I have my own tones and exploration. Fair enough. But I just wanted to give these factory sample settings a chance. So I'm going to play each of them. I'm going to show it to you on the screen what the setting is. And very quickly just give you my thoughts on the factory sample settings. I may play a little bit with the pickups and rolling the volume up or down and play with tone a little bit. But you will get the idea. And one more thing, what you are listening to is the Mesa Boogie cab clone output on the Mark V 25. I am listening to my Lone Star 1x12 cabinet I have here by me on the floor. That's what I'm listening to. I just didn't feel like bringing out a microphone and miking up the cabinet so you could hear it. That's just too lazy. So what I'm doing is just taking the cab clone output. So remember, you're listening to the cab clone while I have a speaker cabinet plugged into the amp. And one more thing before I get started, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. Hit that notification bell so you can be notified the next time I put out a video. So with that, let's get to playing and making a little bit of music here. That was the fat mode clean, and I really like that sound. It has so much in terms of dynamics. Great for a clean solo, I think. The only thing is, if you're that person, you need a little bit more squishy compression in order to solo. It's not quite the sound you want. But really, just for some clean chording, sparkling sounds, that is a gorgeous setting. I really like it. I could play that for days. Tight clipped, I like it. Yeah, very tight bass. For the most part, it's not very flubby in the bass. That kind of cleanish overdrive. I'm trying to think of the right term for it. right on the brink of just overdriving like that. It's just such an amazing sound. And this, without a lot of tweaking here on my guitar, you heard it on the front pickup and the back pickup. A lot you can play with. And did you notice when I roll back the volume how nicely that cleans up? I mean, that right there is an amp that you can play with. Dial in a little bit more with the bass treble and your knobs here. That right there, just this setting right here, is a whole good amp in and of itself. Pretty amazing. Oh, holy hell. In those fat modes, when they say that there's a lot of bass in there, holy shit. There is a lot of bass. You may not be able to hear it there because I'm using the cab clone, but in this room with that speaker cabinet, holy hell, it's rattling the room, the amount of bass in there. So yeah, the bass response is insane. The other thing is too, the amount of compression is almost perfect without getting too overdriven, too fuzzy and fizzy and gainy. So it just sounds so nice. And you can hear you have a lot of sustain. And so I think that is so cool. And that really tells you something about an amp. If you can get that to sustain without a huge amount of overdrive, that is really something. Again, the bass is a little overwhelming in this room. So I would actually tweak it just a little bit. I would use the graphic EQ to take some of that bass out. Bass is always a good thing. So I gotta tell you, just using a 1x12 cabinet with this thing, the amount of bass is like over the top. It's crazy. Gorgeous sound overall. All right, so it's the same thing again. The amount of bass is insane. So I would use the graphic EQ to take some of that bass out for this room, because in this room, it's like literally, it is making this room rattle and shake. It's pretty awesome because I'm just using a 1x12 cabinet. The amount of compression also is very nice. I don't play a lot of legato stuff where you can really notice the compression from overdrive. But But as a solo sound, I really like it because, again, with that compression, the sound also is warmer. So to me, the sound is a little warmer, and the sustain, as you can see at the end there, the amount of sustain is also amazing in this mode. So initially I was turned off with fat mode because there is so much bass, but the more I've been playing it and getting used to it, it's just a simple matter of taking a little bit out with the 5-band EQ. And realize something else. You at home listening, you may not hear that amount of bass, especially if you're playing on your iPhone or your laptop. You won't notice that bass. But in the real world, here with that speaker cabinet, holy crap. Yeah, things are rattling here in this room. Again, amazing. Just a different shade of a gorgeous clean sound. It really does remind me a little bit of the previous clean sound. So far though, I don't know if I like this this particular clean sound better than the fat clean. The fat clean definitely has more bass. This sound is gorgeous, so I really, especially for chording, and even the soloing. You know, you're not gonna have the compression again. The dynamics are, there's a lot of dynamics. I felt the other fat modes had even more dynamics, but it's just gonna depend on you as a player. And if you have a guitar with so many different things like the Stratocaster, differences in pickups and tone settings, you're just gonna find a lot of different cool sounds. And yeah, that's about it. It's a really lovely little clean sound. Holy shit. The amount of gain on tap is unbelievable. Just remember something, I'm still on the cleaner side of the Mark 525. I have not gotten into the lower section with the Mark IIc Plus, Mark IV. This is the crunch mode, and of course I've maxed out the gain. So a ton of compression. I tried to do a little bit of some legato stuff. Again, I'm not really a legato person, so that amount of compression doesn't do much for me. But for you legato players, that probably just might work. The only thing I don't like is that it's very fuzzy, so a little fizzy on the top, more than I would like for a solo sound. I don't like that kind of fizz, so I might go in and play a little bit with the graphic EQ. I might back the gain off a little bit because it's a little too much for my tastes. So far, this Crunch Solo Factory setting is, it's my least favorite setting so far. It is what it is. Again, if I wanted in this crunch mode, if I wanted a solo sound, I would definitely back the gain off and play with it a little bit more from there. Okay, not nearly as fizzy as the previous one from what I was listening to, but listen to the amount of gain and crunch and some ass kicking, considering that I'm playing through a 1x12 cabinet and I'm playing single coil pickups, and that just had a real heavy metal, 80s, early 90s thrash metal, heavy metal vibe. Again, it's a little more gain than I would use, unless I'm really going for some thrashy stuff, which I used to do. This would have been perfect. But again, I actually like it a little bit better than the previous one. Great, I think, for chunky ass chords. This one's, yeah, this sounded pretty damn cool. With this sample setting, I'm neither here nor there on whether I like it. It's what I can tell is that I'm definitely in the fat mode because of the bass response again. I felt it was inspired enough to play with some rhythm sounds. I like some of the other fat mode factory settings a little bit better, but then again, it depends on what I'm trying to do. Am I trying to take a massive solo and really express myself that way? Or am I just simply playing some chords while somebody else, like I'm backing up a singer or somebody else, and I'm just playing some chords? Again, it just depends on your use. This setting's okay. It's doable. It's all right. All right, so these next factory sample settings are going to be in the second channel. So these are the more high gain sounds. But is it all just high gain? Nothing but crunch and molten metal? Let's find out. For a lead sound, I like that much better than that crunch solo sound that I played earlier. This is not nearly as fizzy, not nearly as gainy, so that actually works for me. I'm able to put a little more into it and articulate and express myself better as a soloist. So I think the gain was just about right. I could certainly give it a little more, back it off, play with it a little bit. But I really like the sound for playing a little more distorted, compressed soloing. I liked it. And I backed off the volume. and you see it worked out. It's not a completely clean sound, but it's a very cleaned up, fun little rhythmic sound to play some little percussive parts. I like that. Very cool sounding setting. Okay, I played more bluesy licks there because the sample setting says blues lead, and definitely a lower gain sound. It can be very, very expressive. Let me do something really quick with that. Okay, yeah, it gets there. So there's still a little bit of dynamics left in there. So even with that amount of gain, there's still a little bit of dynamics. But what a beautiful warm sound. It's probably because I'm using the front pickup. But yeah, I would play a little bit with it. But overall, just like that, I kind of like this factory setting for something like the blues, something a little more low key, but not exactly clean. Very neat sound. Woo! I love that way better than the other bluesy sounds. So this is the Mark IV blues setting. I love it the way it is. I mean, changing any of the treble and bass mid-range, that would be like nitpicking. I suppose I could, but just like that. Oh my God, I hope you felt it like I did. That was gorgeous. I'm gonna have to use that setting and play with it a little bit. That just felt awesome. Alright, so that was a skinny mode, as Mesa Boogie likes to put it. Yeah, not for me, not much in the way of a lead sound. I suppose in a pinch you could certainly do it for a certain type of lead sound. I totally get where it's going though with a skinny sound, trying to get rid of that full spectrum sound because you want your guitar player to really sit in a spot. So I would say for maybe like some backing rhythm or some little sparse parts here and there that kind of just fit in this little frequency hole in the mix, you could stick it in there and it would sound awesome. Playing by myself here, it's not very inspiring, but I think that's the point, is to use it for something other than sitting here by yourself in the context of a band mix or in a recording. So there, it's probably gonna sound pretty damn cool. Yeah, imagine that, you guys. Think, as a guitar player, thinking about other people you're playing with other than yourself. We are not the star of the show. We are not the leader of the band. I hate to break it to you. For a high gained up lead, that felt really good. That right there is perfect for the legato playing, even though I didn't play a lot of legato stuff. That is just, it flows really well. You can really mess with that and come up with some cool sounds. The amount of compression is sweet as hell. Not a lot of bass response, and that's probably a good thing for what you want. You know, when you play a solo, because the bass player's already holding the bass. If you have keyboards, they might be adding a little bit of bass in there too. And the kick drum is also adding the thud. So you don't really need a lot of bass in there. You kind of need that solo to sit there in the mid-range and really speak out to the audience or to yourself. Even with that much gain, it didn't feel all fizzed out and just, you know, noisy. It actually felt like I could really express myself with vibrato. I actually like that sound. That'll be a fun one to play with on a lot of my recordings. Yeah, so that is exactly what it is. It's a high gain, chunky rhythm, perfect for metal. I do not have the perfect guitar for metal, so I'd have to come back and try that with my Jackson, which has some EMG 81s and 85s, and will punch this amp even harder for something more chunky. But it was still very tight. The bass wasn't flubby. I didn't notice a lot of bass at all. So it may have, I don't know if it's the speaker cabinet, if I'll get more chunk with a 4x12. I suspect I will, because this is the speaker cab is a 1x12 open back. But you know, it'll do the job. If I'm playing with a heavy metal band, even this little setup will do the job. It's pretty fucking loud in here with this. That is just a different sound from a lot of the other settings. It says this is a classic rock setting. Yeah, I can see that. I tried to play a little open chord kind of Alex Lifeline Rush, you know, bar chords, but leaving the top strings open, have it ring out, and it works nicely. I thought that was a lovely sound. But for a solo sound, wow, that was really, really nice. I was able to, it sounds really warm to me. Again, it might be because I'm using the front pickup, but I don't know. Even when I had the back pickup on and strumming to those chords, it was a nice warm sound. So this is another wonderful sound that I will have to explore some more. Are you able to hear that mid bump in it? You can see from the settings that the graphic EQ is engaged to give a little mid-range hump to it. And so it definitely has that kind of vocal mid-range quality. Again, I think that's an inspirational sound for what I like to do. I love that warm, mid-rangey, almost vocal-like quality. I think that is so cool. I don't know if I would play this with with just playing chords unless I backed off the volume, which I played with a little bit here. Well, there you go, my friends. There are all the factory sample settings from the Mesa Boogie Mark V 25. Let me know in the comments what setting was your favorite. What did you identify with? If you have a Mark V 25, have you tried these factory sample settings? What do you like? Let me know in the comments. Also, mind you, I did have a little bit of the built-in reverb dialed in, so the sound isn't so dry. I'm hoping that comes across. And also realize that I didn't use any pedals. This amp will transform dramatically once you start putting, different drive pedals or chorus, flange, pitch shifters, whatever you can think of, tremolos. The sounds will change drastically. So thanks for joining me today. Again, please subscribe to this channel. I'd really appreciate your support. And then tap that notification bell so you can be notified the next time I'm on. Thanks a lot, you guys, for joining me today, and I will see you soon. Keep on playing out there.